Good morning, everyone. I'm Imasha Perez. Today at the webinar, I'll be covering optimizing credit collections and recovery efficiency, effectiveness, and how to use recurring transactions, evaluations of debtors and creditors, and generating MIS reports. In the process of managing creditors, one of the most important screens in Sage is AP vendor activity window. Let's move on to AP vendor activity window. Here, as you can see, there are 4 tabs inside the vendor activity window. The first tab is activity tab. Actually, the activity tab displays summary information about the current status of the account for a selected vendor. Now here I have selected this vendor and it shows the information about the most recently posted transactions. Outstanding balance, prepayment amount, last invoice amount, last payment amount, outstanding retainage, and the vendor currency, and everything is shown in this tab. And let's move on to aging tab. Here in the aging tab, this tab displays the company account balance with the vendor in each of the aging periods used in your account payable system. The aging periods are selected by the aging and cutoff dates you specify, as you can see here. And accounts payable sorts outstanding transaction and balances into 5 periods, current, and also another 4 aging periods. So you can specify the length of each aging period for the account payable on AP option screen, and but you can assign any aging periods you want on this tab. And also you can specify the date as of which you want the age transaction balances, such as today's date here. And you can choose whether to age transactions by their due dates or their document dates for each type of report. And also you can specify the cutoff date, and you can include or exclude transactions that are more recent than the age as of date. And the next tab is transactions tab. So this tab is used to weave summary and detailed information about the transactions, like invoices, credit notes, debit notes, and payments. You can see here the types of the transaction. So account payable displays a single line of summary information for each invoice, credit note, debit note, prepayments, and payments that has been posted to the vendor account, as you can see here. So you can choose the type of documents to display, the order of their appearance, and a starting document number here. And you can include pending amounts in the display if you want from here. And you can also view completed or fully paid documents that you have not yet cleared from accounts payable. And you can choose whether to include or exclude fully paid transactions in here. And also you can view information about pending transactions, and you can include pending document balances. And you can even open a separate screen to view detailed history for each displayed amounts, like this. You can get each transaction history from by opening the document information from here. And the last tab is payment tab. Yeah, the use of this tab is for each payment it shows the bank code, check number and check date, check amount in the functional currency or vendor currency, if the vendor is using multi-currency, if the company is using multi-currency ledger, and you can check status whether it's outstanding, cleared or reversed. And also you can see the payment badge number and the entry number here, and you can see the payee, which is the name on the check. So yeah, uh, vendor activity tab is that, vendor activity window is that. And now we will move on to another most important windows in the when managing vendors, that is recurring payables. Actually, the use of this window is you can create records for standard invoices you receive from the vendors. So a recurring payable can be for a single item such as warehouse, or for like expenses like rent, or for a standing order or service that is almost identical from month to month. So recurring payables are identified by code, as you can see here, as well as the vendor number. So you can generate a badge of single invoice type. Uh, so you can manually create an invoice for a recurring payable, and also you can include recurring payables in the reminder list, which is in the common services, and so that it gives you a reminder for a specific user or all users to process the payables when they become due. Uh, so for more information, I can take you to the common services. So as you can see here in this schedule screen, you can use this schedule screen to create schedules for recurring transactions, which was recurring payables as I showed you earlier. And so the recurring transaction that you process in the account payable, you can set it up from here as you want, and you can use this reminder list screen to which is associated with the scheduling feature. So you can set up schedule to remind the user about the recurring transaction that you are used for a schedule appear. So this schedule appear automatically on the user's reminder list when they are due. Uh, Generally, you can create schedules before you create recurring transactions, and you can create new schedules when creating recurring transactions in subledgers. So let's move back into this window. Yeah, as you can see here, this is the invoice tab. So this tab let you specify the starting date, the expiration type, and depending on the type you specify, you can select the expiration date if there is any, and you can create recurring payable batch screen. Which does not create invoices for payables unless the creation date between the start date and the expiration date. So a maximum amount that you will pay for the recurring payable also you can specify, and a maximum number of invoices, and if an invoice would cause the amount invoice to date exceed the maximum account payables does not create the invoice. And also you can assign a schedule to set the frequency of payable invoices here, and you can select a remit to location for payable if only if needed. And you can assign payment terms and tax information for the payable. And you can also enter the PO number if there is any. So let's move on to the next tab, that is detail tab. The detail tab is used to enter the details of recurring payables. You can open a separate detail account tax screen to enter distribution and tax information for the detail. So to open the detail accounts, you can or highlight the detail line. You can click the account or tax button. From here, you can yeah, likewise you can. So this lets you view estimated tax amounts for each payable detail. If you selected calculate or distribute as the tax entry method for the tax amount and tax base field on the tax or totals tab, and you can assign a distribution code or general ledger payable account and enter description and amount for each detail line in the recurring payable record. Let's move on to tax tab. Here in the tax tab, this displays the tax total for the recurring payables. So the tax group and tax authorities are mentioned here. And the tax group assigned in the vendor record appears in the default for the recurring payable, but you can change it if necessary from here. And the vendor tax class is also assigned in the vendor record. However, for many tax authorities, the tax class varies depending on the purpose of the goods or services being purchased. So you can change the tax class if necessary. And estimated tax amounts, if tax is calculated for the recurring payable, also you can specify. And you can specify how tax is to be calculated for the recurring payable using the tax amount and tax base field here. You can change the tax included option only if it allows the taxing price option selected for the tax authority in tax services. So that's all for the tax tab, and let's move into statistics tab. Here the statistics tab displays the number and amount of posted and unposted invoices created for recurring payable. So you can edit this field to include historical amounts. So you can leave the year-to-date number and amount of invoices created for recurring payable. Accounts payable updates these amounts when you post the invoices and you cannot change them. So you can give information about the last invoice posted for the recurring payable, and you can include the date, amount, invoice, entry numbers, as well as batch number and posting sequence of the batch that contain the last invoice. Now we'll move on to the important vendor reports in accounts payable. If we take vendor groups, so this report lists the information entered for each vendor group used in your account payable system. This report can be include a list of vendors who are assigned to each group. So if you select profile option for the report lists for each vendor group on the report. So now you will see, if you select the profile option, it gives you the group account set and bank code and the code or account number specified for the distribute by option in the vendor group record, distribution code, distribution set, and GL account, and the tax group and related tax authorities and tax classes, and selections for duplicate invoices, and generate separate payment for each invoice option in the vendor group record. You can see here, and also the group's currency code. And if you select the group members option for the report, the report includes the vendor number, name, uh, vendor number, vendor name, telephone number, contact number for each of the members vendors for a quick reference. So this report is very useful. Now let's move on to a AP vendor screen. As you can see here, the vendor report lists the information entered for the vendor records in your account payable system. So if you select the address option for the report, the vendors, let's see. If you select this AP address option, it gives the address, short name, telephone and fax numbers and contacts. And if you select the profile option, if you select the profile option, it gives you the vendor group, account set, terms code, bank code, credit limit, check language, start date, and business registration number. And also it gives you the primary remit to location and the code or account number specified for the distribute by option in the vendor record, and distribution code, distribution set, and GL accounts also shown in this report, and the tax group and related tax authorities, classes and registration numbers are also shown in this report. The selection for the duplicate invoice checking and generate separate payments for each invoice options in the vendor reports also can be generated through this report, and also the vendor currency code. And here if you select comments option, you can get any comments and dates entered in the vendor record, or comments entered with follow-up dates and specified range. And and let's move on to revenue location report screen. So here the yeah. Yeah, as you can see here, the remit to location report lists the remit to locations used by your vendors. Remit to locations are the alternate addresses used by the vendors, and this report identify primary remit to locations as well. Let's move on to recurring payables. So as you can see here, the recurring payable report lists down your recurring payables recorded by the payable code. And the last one is AP letters and label screen. Yeah. As you can see here, uh, letters and labels contain the information you specify for them in the report format you choose to print. You can print letters and labels for individual vendors in your accounts payable system. And if you use optional fields as selection criteria when printing the report, let me show you. Sorry. Yeah. Um, if you select yeah, if you select print if you select vendor as the delivery method when you print in letters, so the account payable prints the letters according to the delivery method specified in individual vendor records, and you can then specify the code for a message to send with email letters. So if you have optional fields, if you select uh, the optional field as selection criteria when printing the report, you can specify the range of values from which to select recording for printing. The report can include only vendors that use the specified optional fields whose values fall within the specified range. Yeah. Now let's move into accounts receivables. Yeah, one of the most important windows when it comes to accounts receivables is AR customer inquiry screen. Yeah, uh, we can we can see this as a 360-degree of uh, the customer, because it includes almost everything about the customer we can get from here. So customer related informations are there in the address tab, profile, tax and sales, credit status, comments, and if there is optional fields, and ship to tab, and recurring charges and activity stats tab, and transaction related informations are there in the document tab, refunds, receipts, and adjustments and pending tab. And order entry informations are there in OE orders, OE invoices, OE sales, and inventory control informations are there in IC contract pricing. So first let's move into activity and stats tab. Yeah. Uh, no, let's move on to address tab. Uh, yeah, this tab gives the customer, this tab displays the customer address and contact information from the customer record. And this adjustment tab, this tab displays, actually there are no adjustments. You can see here, the adjustments tab lists all posted adjustment transactions for the customer you select. So it includes adjustment from write-off badges along with the documents they adjusted, and this tab lists one line of summary information for each adjustment. Comments tab. So the comment tab displays all comments entered in the customer record for the selected customer. You can use it to edit customer comments from the customer this screen, and the comments you enter are automatically saved in the customer record. So this lists all the comments in ascending and descending order by the date they were entered. So you can filter the comments to view only a certain type of comments and comments entered by or for a specific user, as you can see here. Credit status tab. This is used to inquire or check customers' credit status. So as you can see here, account receivable sorts outstanding transaction and balances into 5 periods, current period and 4 other periods. So you can specify the length of each period for your customer from here. So however, you can assign any aging period you want in this tab. And let's move into documents tab. Yeah, this is very important. This document tab lists all transactions that are posted for the customer. So document details and the history, applied transactions are conveniently listed in separate tables in the same tab. So you can drill down to the invoice entry from this from the lines you select. So you can use this tab to look up information about invoices, credit notes, debit notes, interest charges, receipts, and and also including unapplied cash, prepayments, and miscellaneous receipts and refunds that have been posted to a selected customer account. Next, let's move to IC contract pricing. There is no lines included in for this customer. So the IC contract pricing tab appears only if you a company using inventory control. So you can use this tab to review and work with customer pricing contracts. OE invoices tab. The OE invoices tab appears only if the company is using order entry module. So this lists all the invoices, debit notes, and credit notes, and that have been processed for a selected customer in order entry. So you can drill down from the invoice you select from here. OE orders tab. Yeah. OE orders tab appears only if the company use Sage 300 order entry module. So this list or orders and shipments that have been processed for a selected customer in order entry. You can drill down to shipments from here and get into the shipment entry. Uh, yeah, let's move to OE sales tab. This tab is available only if order entry is used in your company. So this provides a sales history of items sold to a selected customer, and this is processed through order entry module. Let's move into receipts tab. Yeah, the receipt tab lists all the customer payments that are posted for a accounts receivable customer, including information about the documents to which the receipts were applied. So this let you view posted miscellaneous receipts for customers that have no record in accounts receivable. So that is very useful for you. So let's move on to recurring charges tab. So this tab displays information for recurring charges that you set up for your customers, like I showed you earlier. Refunds tab. Refunds tab displays the list of all refunds that you have posted for a customer, including information about the documents that were refunded. You can't see any here for this customer. Ship to tab. Yeah. This tab displays the customer, all the ship to locations that have been set up for the customer. Tax and sales tab. This tab displays information about customers' tax status and sales. You can see here it displays total outstanding balance, exceeds the credit limit which you have mentioned, and if they are transaction overdue by the dates are given, so you can see the how many days are more, how many days are there or more exceed the overdue limit which you mentioned. Yeah, so that's and also profile. Yeah, this tab displays the variety of identifying, processing, and invoicing information for the customer records are displayed here in the profile tab. And let's move into recurring charges now. Yeah, it is similar to AP recurring payable. So here, uh, this screen is used to create records of the standard invoices you issue to your customers. So you can manually create an invoice for recurring charges if necessary. So recurring charges can be for a single item such as rent or for standing orders or services that are almost identical from month to month. So you can set up recurring charges for summary and item invoices type. So recurring charges are identified by code as well as by the customer number. So you can generate a badge of a single recurring charge type such as rent. So you can also include recurring charges in the reminder list as I showed you earlier in the common services. And you can set up a remind for a specific user or to all users to process the charges when they become due. Let's move on to detail tab. You can enter the details of the recurring charges here. You can open a separate screen mm, to view or edit the tax class and tax included status for a detail. As you can see here. So account receivable generates a summary invoices for recurring charges rather than enter item number. So you can assign a distribution code or general ledger revenue account to each detail line to and enter a description and amount in the recurring charge record. To view or to change tax information for a particular detail or highlight the detail, then either click the account tax button here or press F9 button to detail accounts and tax screen. Likewise. So um, yeah, let's move to sales split tab. So here you use this tab to assign salesperson or who are responsible for the recurring charge. Tax and totals tab. This tab is used to assign the tax group for the recurring charge. And you can check the tax authorities, customer tax class, and the totals for the recurring charge. And you can also change the customer tax class for the recurring charge. So finally, let's move into statistics tab. This tab is used to view the number of amounts and unposted invoices created for the recurring charge. You can edit these fields to include historical amounts here, and you can view the year-to-date number and amount of invoices created for the recurring charge. Accounts receivable updates these amounts when you post the invoices, and you cannot change these information. And you can view information about the last invoice posted for the recurring charge, and you can include the date, amount, invoice, and entry numbers, as well as the batch number and posting sequence of the batch that contain the last invoice. Yeah, we are running out of time. Let's quickly move on to AR customer reports. Yeah, customer group list report. Here, you can use this AR customer group screen to print the customer group list report and the customer group statistics report, as you can see here. Yeah. So the customer group list report lists the information entered to define the customer group used in the account receivable system, and the customers assigned to each group. You can get it from here, customer group list report. Yeah, as you can see here. And if you select customer group statistics, it lists the total amount of invoices, receipts, discounts, debit and credit notes, write-offs, adjustment, interest charges, and return checks. And you have to select. Yeah. And return checks you have recorded for the customer group during the period covered by the report. I think yeah, now you can see all those information you can get from this report. And let's move into AR customers report. This customer report is one of the 4 reports you can print using AR customers report screen. So it lists the information entered in accounts receivables to define the customer records used in the system. So you can print this report after adding, revising customer accounts, before deleting inactive customers, and when you need a summary of customer addresses, profiles, comments, or recurring charges. Since we have a limited time, I'm not going to read this report. And also AR ship to locations report. So AR ship to locations report lists the ship to locations or alternate addresses used by your customers. As you can see here. And AR recurring charges report. Here, the recurring charges report lists the customers, dates, terms, amounts, distribution codes, and summary details entered for recurring charges regularly invoice to customers. So you can get the report from here, recurring charges report, the information you need about the recurring charges. And last, let's move into AR statements, letters, and labels report. Yeah, as you can see here, you can print statements, letters, or labels for a customer, and you have to note down. You can use you can use the statements, letters, labels screen to print labels for addresses in customer records, and also you can print labels for customer ship to addresses, like for example, to affix on shipments or goods. And also you can use this AR labels report screen to print labels for customer ship to addresses. And statements, letters, and labels are can include the features like yeah, you I'll print and show you. Uh, the company name, address, phone numbers, contact person, telephone numbers, and also the customer's ship to location. And for each transaction, the document number, document date, transaction type, reference number, if there is any invoice, or applied document number for a transaction matched to an invoice, and due date, current amount of the transaction, and the number of days in each aging period, and totals for each period, or the transactions that are aged by due date. So you can age documents by document date and include current transactions. And the previous balances, credits, and new charges since the last statement, and the new balances also can be obtained from this AR statements and letters labels report. Yeah, so that's all I'm going to explain you today for AR customers and AP vendors. So I hope you guys got an idea uh, about the session today. So I hope it's useful for you guys. So if there is anything, you can ask questions or drop a mail to my email address. So we'll see you in the next webinar session. Thank you very much and have a good day.